Why do so many people watch adult content? Across ages, across cultures, across backgrounds. Psychology says this behavior is not random. It starts in the brain. And more importantly, it starts with emotion. The human brain has one main job: to reduce discomfort and to seek relief. Not happiness, not meaning, just relief. When someone feels bored, stressed, lonely, or overwhelmed, the brain looks for something that can quickly change that feeling. That is where this habit begins. At the center of this process is a chemical called dopamine. Dopamine is not a pleasure chemical. It is a learning chemical. It tells the brain one thing: remember this, repeat this. Any action that gives fast relief or stimulation releases dopamine. The brain loves fast solutions. Adult content gives the brain exactly that. No effort, no waiting, no social pressure, no rejection. From the brain's point of view, this is very efficient. So the brain makes a note: this works. And that is how the habit forms. Psychology shows something important here. Most people do not turn to adult content because they feel confident or fulfilled. They turn to it when something feels missing. Often it is loneliness, stress, boredom, emotional emptiness, lack of connection. In these moments, adult content becomes a coping tool, not a goal, a tool. Now let's talk about habits. The brain learns through repetition. If the same action repeatedly reduces discomfort, the brain builds a shortcut. Stress appears. The habit follows. Boredom appears. The habit follows. Loneliness appears. The habit follows. Over time, the brain stops asking questions. It reacts automatically. Another powerful factor is novelty. The brain is wired to notice what is new. New things release more dopamine than familiar things. This is why scrolling feels endless. Adult content is built around novelty. From a psychological point of view, this trains the brain to chase stimulation instead of connection. Excitement begins to feel like satisfaction, even though it is not the same thing. Psychology also talks about emotional regulation. Healthy emotional regulation means being able to sit with discomfort and process emotions. When this skill is weak, the brain looks for shortcuts. Adult content becomes a fast emotional regulator. It distracts, it numbs, it overstimulates, but it does not solve the emotion, so the feeling returns, and the cycle repeats. Another key pattern is avoidance. Avoidance does not mean running away physically. It means avoiding inner discomfort. Instead of facing emotional pain, the brain chooses distraction. This same pattern exists in endless scrolling, binge watching, compulsive gaming. The brain chooses relief now over growth later. Does this mean everyone who watches adult content has a problem? No. Psychology does not judge behavior by existence alone. It looks at frequency, dependence, loss of control, impact on daily life. For some people, the behavior stays occasional. For others, it becomes the main way the brain handles emotion. That is when psychology pays attention. Another concept psychology explains is desensitization. When the brain receives high stimulation repeatedly, normal stimulation feels weaker. This applies to many areas of life: food, entertainment, social media. Over time, the brain needs more stimulation to feel the same response. This can affect focus, motivation, and emotional connection. Now here's the hopeful part. The brain is adaptable. Anything learned through repetition can be changed through new repetition. Psychology focuses on understanding emotional triggers, building healthier coping habits, increasing real connection, reducing dependence on instant stimulation. Change does not come from guilt. It comes from understanding. The key takeaway is simple. This behavior is rarely about desire alone. It is about how the brain learned to handle emotion. When emotional needs are met in healthier ways, the brain naturally reduces reliance on shortcuts. Psychology does not shame. It explains. Because when people understand why their brain does something, they regain control over how they respond. And that is where real change begins.